At 4:13 this morning, I was woken by a phone call from John McAfee, who was calling to tell me that the police were closing in. He had spent the night in an undisclosed house in Belize, sleeping on a bed infested with lice, and that he felt that the end was near, that they would arrest him at any minute, but he was not going to surrender because he was convinced that they would kill him. I've been following McAfee's case in Belize for the past 6 months, ever since April 30th, when the police raided him and accused him of being a drug trafficker and possessing illegal firearms. Over those 6 months, I've spent weeks in Belize and interviewed McAfee both in person and on the telephone, probably over 100 hours of interviews. And I can say without a doubt that he is a very complex person. But whether or not he's a murderer is yet to be seen. I recorded McAfee's phone calls to me this morning with his permission, and what follows are those calls.
One of the charges against you is that you're a psychopath. What do you have to say about that?
Well, if I were a psychopath, I would not be competent to comment on it other than to say yes or no. And either one, if I were a psychopath, would be irrelevant. I do not think I'm a psychopath. I like people. I think psychopaths are sort of antisocial folks that hate people. I tend to love people. I tend to love people in spite of their faults and in spite of the things that they do or attempt to do to me. You're well aware of Marcia, for example, who plotted for 3 months to have me kidnapped for money. And I still talk to Marcia, and she lived with me after that for 2 additional months before it finally got too intense.
Well, this is a good question. Why do you surround yourself with people of questionable character?
Well, I surround myself with people of unquestionable character, too. Eddie Ancona, I don't know a more honest, God-fearing person. Yourself, I think I befriended you and embraced you as I embraced anyone else. I'm living in a country where most people are questionable. I'm sorry. Or when I was at the river, I'm right next to Carmelita, a very poor district, a very high crime. Almost everybody steals. Well, they're the people I'm with. I surround myself and embrace wherever I am. Eddie Ancona, her wife Katrina. I have just as many friends of high character as I do of low. I just don't discriminate. People are people. I think that people are a product of their conditioning. You take a person and put them in an environment where everybody steals, you're beaten, you starve, you see your family doing questionable things. That's what you do. You follow the crowd. That doesn't mean that your heart, your soul is violated to the point that you're no longer human. It simply means that, maybe you can change. Maybe if you're loved enough or embraced enough, your heart will open and you'll see a different path. Unfortunately, my experience has been that very few do. But that doesn't mean that I should turn cynical and say, well, screw it, you can't help anybody.
Right. And more specifically in terms of people like Eddie McCoy, who the government say is a gangster of the highest level, why would you associate with him?
Well, that association was kind of forced on me. I mean, Eddie was actually hired to kill me, and over a period of 3 months of dodging him, simply got to know his character a little bit, and he's definitely a bad man. I associate with him because he, among other things, interests me. I've never seen anything like him. I've never imagined anything like Eddie. And my association, by the way, I don't sleep with him. I don't hang out with him a lot. Occasionally we spend time. Occasionally we talk. It's fascinating. You would like to do it yourself. If you could spend an hour talking to Eddie the way he talks to me about the reality of his life, you would do it. Of course, you would write a story about it, but that's the question.
Yeah. Let's talk about the drugs, the accusations that you are dealing in drugs, specifically your postings about MDPV, which seem to indicate...
I'm posting what now?
Your postings about MDPV.
Right.
on blue light, which seemed to indicate that you have produced 50 pounds of MDPV.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't know how to produce 50 pounds of MDPV. I'm not a chemist. I actually almost failed organic chemistry in college, probably less because of my intelligence and more because of women, but I wouldn't know how. I wouldn't have a very good clue how. I mean, that lab gear that's in the lab, you know, I can do a dog and pony show and point to things and give their names. I wouldn't have a clue how to use them. Jeez. So, number one, I wouldn't know how. Number two, for what purpose? I don't know what the price is or how you would market it or anything else, but there's got to be easier and cheaper ways to make money. I mean, probably if I were motivated to that extent that I would start a lab, I'd write some software first, you know, or at least design some and pay someone a few dollars to write it. It would make more money.
Right.
Secondly, I'm just violently opposed to drugs. I think that drugs are the evil of the society. They do remove the humanity. I think that you know, people like Tino, who when he is sober and when he is not on drugs, is honest to God a sweet man. He is. Like, he did not drink, he did not take drugs the entire time he was at my house doing the photographs for your magazine. Sweet, respectful. You put a beer in him, or you put some cocaine in him, or whatever it is that he takes, he turns into a monster of the highest order. He is the prototype of the drugged-up personality. So why on earth, you know, I'm stupid enough without drugs, and my life is fucked up enough without drugs and always has been. I don't need to add to it, sir.
And one of the allegations is that during the time that you've been in Belize, you've become increasingly erratic. Your behavior has become increasingly unpredictable. To what do you attribute that?
Well, I would like you give me any human being with any character, and you storm their house without warning, shoot a dog, the one you love. Well, actually, I love all my dogs. Treat them the way I've been treated, and then make threats, and then start harassing them. Trust me, you become erratic and unpredictable. You know, most people, you know, may have done worse. I think because of my age and experience, and, you know, I'm a very balanced person and try to make light of almost all situations that happen to me and try to find humor in everything. I think I've survived this pretty well. But Jesus, Josh, you would be erratic. Anybody would be erratic. I mean, right now, sir, I am holed up in a place where, by the way, the mattress here has, one of the things is we're calling on it has lice. I've never experienced that before. I'm holed up in this place. I have limited contact with anyone.
Hi there.
Yeah, I'm taking a huge risk here. I'm on my other phone. This other telephone ran out of credit. Do you have that number on your phone?
You want me to call you back on it?
Try to call it back and see if I can get it.
Got it. So we were talking about...
Stop my erratic behavior here in Belize.
Yes.
Okay.
And you said that essentially anybody would react as you have.
If they chose to stay here, and most people would react by going, I'm getting the hell out of here. And maybe my staying is the erratic part that is unintelligible. I don't know. But I'm here, and I am going through this, and still going through it.
Yeah. In terms of the case with Greg Fall, I think there's a presumption of guilt at this point in the public, simply because he lived 2 doors down from you. He didn't like your dogs. Your dogs were poisoned on Friday night. It seems possible that you found out that he poisoned them and took revenge.
Again, and we've spoken about this before. The idea that my neighbors may have done it did, in fact, occur to me. One of them, and the first one was the doctor next door, because he lives closest to me. Greg lives way down the beach, and I was was even surprised he could even hear my dogs. But both Greg and the doctor have dogs, love dogs. A dog owner, a dog lover, is not going to poison anybody's dog under any circumstances. Now, maybe they'd poison me, but not my dogs. It's just not possible. I did talk to the caretaker next door that knows both of them. His name is William, and William said, no, this is no way. And I go, yeah, I didn't think so. I agree. So, I don't know. That's absurd.
And you didn't find out any more information on Saturday that made you suspect Greg?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And, as to your speculations of what might have happened to him?
I do not have a clue. The only information I have about him is what you have told me and what I think Cash or Priscilla had told me. I had no idea that he was shot execution style. I heard some things were missing. You were the one that told me it was a 9mm shell.
Yeah.
All I know. I have no speculation other than the first thing I thought about was, oh my God, he's a white man, I'm a white man, the government's finally decided to off me. They got the wrong white man, since we live almost next door. And that actually went through my mind and actually scared me for quite a while.
Right. And what's the end game at this point?
Well, I don't have a clue, sir. I am unable to move. That's clear. My face is plastered. All the police, all the BDF have my photo. It's a small country. I'm a white man with unique features. If I leave this house, I would be identified instantly and nabbed. So for the foreseeable future, this is my home. And actually, someone just had a birthday. I just looked at this. It says happy birthday. And there's a name which I won't give you. This is in the kitchen area.
Yeah.
I just noticed that. I just turned around.
And
this is going to be my home. I don't know what the end game is. The end game is obviously, given enough time, they will track me down. I have to eat. I have to have supplies. I'm using a telephone. They will eventually figure out which phone and triangulate it. It's just a matter of time. In the meantime, I'd like to get out as much information as I can about the wrongs in this country. And the wrongs, by the way, aren't the people. The people are, in spite of the poverty and the theft and the petty crimes, the people are truly, truly beautiful. The country, I've never seen a more spectacular place. It is the destination of heaven. The problem is political. It's a brand new country. It hasn't found its footing yet, and the politicians, by and large, tend to enrich themselves at the expense of the country as a whole. This is the only problem we have here. And the problem that I'm not going to play that game, and I'm not going to go along with it, and I'm not going to keep quiet about it.
Why do you think they're targeting you? Why do you think the government is targeting you?
Well, because, number one, I'm one of the first foreigners to live here that actually has, bumped up against the government, and I have access to the press and had for a long time, and that's my only weapon, really. And so I talk and I tell the truth, and it sheds a very negative light. I mean, for example, in this country now they can try you without a jury, meaning you can be charged. First of all, they can hold you for 30 days without even charging you. Then you can be charged, and the prime minister or cabinet minister can choose an appropriate judge to judge you, and the judge can judge you any way he wishes. No jury, no due process. This is where we stand, and this is what's going to happen to me, by the way, when I'm caught. I will be held without charges if I survive the 30 days, which I doubt very strongly. But lots of people do, die in prison here from, strangling on their own vomit, hanging themselves because they're too miserable, getting beaten to death by fellow inmates, or a variety of other things. And then, of course, it's not the government's fault. Well, he did wrong, he got arrested, and something happened to him. But if I do survive that 30 days, then some judge will go, well, you're guilty. Period.
Right.
This is where we are. This is not what should be happening in the most beautiful country in the world. Shouldn't be.
And tell me more about what you perceive to be the failings of the government.
Well, Belize was founded by pirates. The offspring of those pirates still reside here, and the country has an attitude that's the pirate attitude. Governed by fear. We collect our dues by extortion. We enforce through brutality, and we get what we can. We take our booty as it comes, and that's the attitude of the government and the ministers to an extreme. So the corruption, the disregard for fellow man in terms of the country outside of your own family is the fundamental problem. That can change. It has changed throughout history in many countries.
Talk about why you came to Belize in the first place.
I retired to Belize because, to me, it's physically the most beautiful country on earth. A barrier reef protects the shoreline and allows residents to build piers and enjoy the seashore as if it were a calm lake most of the year. The water is a crystal aquamarine blue on sunny days that just invites you to come into it. The fishing, the boating, swimming, and snorkeling is superb beyond anything I've imagined. The interior of the country, the rivers, the jungles, crocodiles, birds, wildlife, profoundly attractive to me. The people, simple in most cases, and welcoming. To me, where else would I retire?
Yeah. Let's see we'll tick through some of the other allegations here.
I've got to hang up.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Hi. So I guess one question is, if it's inevitable that they will get you, why not get a lawyer and turn yourself in?
Okay. The last high-profile person to turn himself in was shot, in fact, in police custody. His name was Arthur Young. His handcuffs were tied he had his hands cuffed behind his back, and they shot him.
Right. So the legal system there, you don't have faith in the due process?
Well, now that the Constitution has been unraveled by the Prime Minister, there is no due process. There is no legal recourse. The cabinet can override the judicial system, apparently, and the judicial system is loyal to the party rather than to the law in many cases, out of fear, not because the judges are corrupt, but the judges are afraid. Everybody is afraid. If you do not toe the party line, then retribution comes, either at the hands of the GSU, which is the strong arm of the Prime Minister, or through financial or other catastrophe. No, sir, I do not.
Right. Okay, what else? I think that basically covers... Oh, yeah, there was, I remember.
Okay, I would like to say one thing, and I think that the American public needs to know this, that there are innocent people, extremely fine people who are right now suffering in jail, undoubtedly undergoing torture of some sort that leaves no scars, that need to be released. If I'm the one that they want, and holding my friends is not going to get them anywhere. So I would just like to say that, sir.
Right. One of...
my friends by name Eddie Ancona, Cashin Chavarria, William Mulligan, and I do not know Cesar, the taxi driver's last name. His only crime was driving me from my house into town.
And these are people?
I'm sorry, these are people who have been arrested and are still being held, and you know what happens in Central American jails in order to get information. So I fully expect to have signed statements saying that, God knows what. That yes, if he had the gun, we saw him have the gun, he told everybody, whatever. But who wouldn't? I would do it myself. If you put enough pain on someone, they will say or sign anything.
Right.
But these people need to be released. And I would like to implore the Prime Minister to do the right thing and release them.
Right. Some of the other allegations that have cropped up detail your discussions of your...
One allegation which you did not address is here in this country, everyone is saying, well, the reason that he returned to drugs is because the young girls that he hangs with got him into drugs. I think you know that the reverse is absolutely true. Okay, I'm here with Sam, who Sam can say, when's the last time you had any drugs or alcohol, Sam? It's been a while, because I will not hang with them if they continue to drink and do drugs. This is a fact. You know this. You've been with me. So they're not turning me on to drugs. I'm turning them off of drugs, and it's a requirement of my condition. You're not gonna be hanging with me if you're drinking and drugging. It's a fact.
Well, one of the allegations are that not that you're drinking or that you're using traditional narcotics, but that you're using drugs such as MDPV that are libido enhancers.
Drugs are drugs. The libido enhancers that I use, I will be frank with you, I sometimes do use Viagra. Okay, I don't know that it enhances my libido, but it does enhance my virility. Okay, but drugs are drugs. Anything that modifies your consciousness, warps your perceptions, is a drug. I don't care. Maybe you say coffee does that. I don't know, but I do drink coffee. But still, drugs are drugs. I don't care what the name is.
And these allegations that you use drugs to get women to sleep with you, or for you to keep up with younger women.
Okay, now I am a rich man in a poor country, and I still have some small amount of charisma left. I hope I will never have to resort to drugging women to get them to sleep with me.
Yeah.
So anyway, sir, I need to get off of this one.
Problem.
I'm just afraid of.
That's fine. We can take a little time here. I'll put this stuff online.